nature lovers! I'm Jennie Tutone with the Natural History Institute, and today we're on Mingus Mountain in the beautiful Mogollon Highlands. We've been walking around today and going, man, all these shrubs look a lot alike. Well, today we'll be looking at pairs of shrubs and helping you distinguish them. Come on! So here is our first pair of shrubs that look alike. Now, these two shrubs are not related. They're in different families. Over here, we have Quercus, the scrub oak, that's part of the oak family. And over here, we have Rhamnus, hollyleaf buckthorn, from the buckthorn family. So the first similarity that's pretty apparent is that on the margins, the leaf margins, they both have teeth on them. These leaves are also simple and alternate. So that means that they grow not right next to each other, but kind of in a ladder stair step. So you can see that on the oak and then also on the buckthorn, right? They're alternate. So here's some tips to figure out which species is which. First off, let's look at the color. So the oak has a blue-green kind of powdery look to it. And the hollyleaf buckthorn is more of a vibrant green. Not quite shiny, but doesn't have that powder on the outside. Next, let's actually look at the margins. So you can see right here on the scrub oak that there's about 8-ish teeth. And then on the hollyleaf buckthorn, way higher density of teeth on there. And while we're close up on these leaves, let's also look at the shape. On these buckthorn leaves, they're kind of more round, and the scrub oak leaves have a more oblong oval shape. And then the last thing I want to show you, and actually this is a good botany tip, let's get a hand lens out. Okay, so now I have my handy dandy hand lens, and let's look at some features up close. So on the scrub oak or shrub live oak, there are hairs on the underneath side of the leaves. So what I'm going to do is bring my hand lens to the leaf and put my face up close. And what I can see here are some stellate hairs. These hairs almost look like fireworks. So then if we look at our hollyleaf buckthorn, and I go to the underside, I don't see any hairs on this. So sometimes a useful tip is to look up close. Okay, so here's another pair of shrubs that look quite similar. In front of me, I have Manzanita, Archostaphylos. And next to me, I have Silktassel, or Garrya. So right away, you can tell that these two shrubs look a lot alike. They both have leathery leaves that are ovate, but with a point to them. They also have leaves that point up towards the sky. Okay, so now let's look how to identify both of these species. So obviously, if they're in bloom, the flowers are quite different. But what happens if there's no flowers? Let's look at the leaves. So first, on the Manzanita, the leaves are alternate. You can tell that they're offset from each other and not right next to each other. And then on the Silktassel, they're opposite. The leaves are growing right next to each other. The next thing you can look at is the bark, but let's look at the mature bark. On the Silktassel, it has this grayish color. And then on the Manzanita, it has this rich red bark. But don't be fooled by the new bark, because look at right here, we have a Silktassel, and I would say that's pretty red. So make sure you're looking at the mature bark. So lastly, we're going to compare two shrubs. They're actually related. So all those other pairs, they weren't related, but these two are in the same family, the rose family. So what we have here is the Cliffrose, Persia, and Apache Plume, Fallujah. As you can see, both of these plants look a lot alike, almost identical. So let's go through some of the differences. First, let's look at the flowers. The Apache Plume has white petals, where the Cliffrose has more of a yellowish tint. Both of these flowers have 5 petals because they're part of the rose family. So the fruits on these plants are called achenes. On the Apache Plume, they have numerous achenes, almost more than 20. And then Cliffrose has only about 4 to 7. And then let's look at the stem that attaches this flower. On the Apache Plume, it's quite long and away from the leaves. And then on the Cliffrose, it's much shorter and the flower is almost touching the leaves. But what if we don't have any flowers or fruits to look at? Let's look at the leaves. The first thing to notice on the leaf surface is that the Cliffrose leaves are glandular with visible white dots, whereas the Apache Plume does not have any glands. Both leaves have pubescence, or a hairy surface on the underside, but these hairs are different colors. I have my handy dandy hand lens again. We're gonna look at the underside of both leaves. So on the Apache Plume, the underside is quite yellow. And then if we look at the Cliffrose, it's very white under here. So if you don't have flowers, you can look at the underside of the leaf and the Apache Plume has yellow and the Cliffrose has white. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope you learned how to identify some Southwestern shrubs. Remember to like and subscribe and comment below of what you want to see next. Join us next time on Notes from the Field.